So say everything.
Oh, I'm ready. Yep. Okay, yeah. I got my wife. We're down. We're down. Yeah.
Good evening. Welcome to the City of North Pole regular council meeting starting at 7 o'clock on February the 5th, 2024. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Mr. Keller is excused. Mr. Williams,
I'm here.
Ms. Clack,
Here.
Mr. Church,
Here.
Mr. Jacobson,
Here.
Mr. Skips,
Here.
and Mayor Welch is out. And that brings us to the pledge.
You please stand.
Gentlemen, please remove your hats. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any?
Oh, I gotta do this again? Okay, that's cool. I can handle this. Everybody bow your heads. Here we go. Dear Lord, we worship you because you are our God forever. We bless your name. We bless your children as we gather to praise you. We reject each life by your name. Pray for your grace so that we may do good work in your name. Fill us with your power and glory. Everybody say, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Move to amend under item 11A, unfinished business ordinance 2023-17. I move that those who are in attendance tonight, if they wish to testify on that they be allowed to do so under citizens' comments, item number 8. That will allow them to not have to spend so much time with us tonight.
That would allow for them to speak under citizens' comments. On that motion, Ms. Clack,
Yes.
Mr. Church,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, Mr. Jacobson.
Yes.
Okay, and on the agenda as amended, Ms. Clack,
Yes.
Mr. Church,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
and Mr. Williams. That brings us to approval of the minutes from January 16th, 2024.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Was that Skips second?
Yes.
Was there any discussion?
Any discussion?
On approval of the minutes, Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Church,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Ms. Clack,
Yes.
Mr. Williams. Okay, that brings us to,
Communication of the mayor, which I am turning over to Danny.
Okay, for those of you that may not know who Paul Trissel is, he is the water utility supervisor for the city of North Pole. And I'm going to read some about you and then send you a plaque. And again, I appreciate the fact that you showed up today for this. You're always at work, but I know that
We'll see about tomorrow.
yes, yes. So Paul has worked for the city of North Pole for 25 years, and we're going to recognize that. And again, we do want you to come back to work tomorrow. But I'm going to read some stuff, and this was not composed by me. It was composed by people who care very much about you. Paul was born in Florida to Paul and Pam Trissel. Paul Sr. was a pastor, and Pam retired from the school district. Paul has an older sister, Lori, and a younger brother, James. And after graduating from high school in New Mexico, his family moved to Alaska. Paul joined the Navy shortly after moving to Alaska, where he excelled in the nuclear propulsion program aboard the USS Mississippi. After 6 years in the Navy, Paul came back to Alaska, grabbed his younger brother, James, and headed to Sitka to attend the University of Alaska Water and Wastewater Treatment Program. While in school, he worked part-time in the summer for North Pole Utilities, and he accepted a full-time job with North Pole Utilities in 1999, again, 25 years ago. On August 6th, 2005, Paul married his best friend, Ginger. 8 years after joining the city of North Pole, Paul became the utility supervisor, managing both the water and wastewater systems. Paul runs one of the few Arctic water systems in the world. He holds the highest certifications possible, Level 4 in water distribution and wastewater collection. These must be constantly renewed and are significantly above the requirements for our North Pole water systems. Paul leads an award-winning team and has been recognized by Alaska's Department of Environmental Conservation's Ursula Major Award for Water System Excellence. They've been recognized for 5 and probably 6 years in a row, pending the 2023 results. The Water Systems Excellence Award is a yearly designation to evaluate and recognize drinking water systems, and only 15% of all water systems in Alaska were awarded this designation. Paul's also a governor-appointed member of the Governor's Water and Wastewater Works Advisory Board. This board is a group of 8 water and wastewater professionals established to advise the Department of Environmental Conservation on all matters of operator certification and training. Those of us who work with Paul appreciate his positive attitude, willingness to listen, extreme patience, and vast knowledge of both the city and city utilities operations. Paul's efforts affect all of us on the city staff and nearly every single person in the city of North Pole and every single person outside the city in the immediate area who have city water. We're lucky to have him both as a friend and a colleague, and thank you for everything you do. So thank you very much. Thank you. You have a card. This is a card. You open that later. This is for you. Like I said, this is not a retirement. This is just recognition of 25 years of phenomenal service.
Appreciate it.
So,
Thank you.
and I'll yield the floor to you if you'd like to say anything.
I appreciate it. It's been a family here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
The other thing I do want to be able to add is that we have finished our Flint Hill and Williams lawsuit, and we will have an attorney come and speak to us in regards to that within the next couple meetings. So that's all I wanted to be able to say on that. Any questions of the mayor? Seeing none?
That brings us to the citizens' comments, which now citizens' comments on ordinance 2317, an ordinance of the city of North Pole to amend Title 10 unsafe and hazardous vehicles and Title 1 minor vehicle fee, minor offense fee schedule is allowed under public testimony. If anybody wanted to testify to that ordinance, you're welcome to at this time. The register's on the table. Also, public testimony, public comment is open to anybody who'd like to publicly testify about anything this evening. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute.
Perfect.
I need to sign in.
Rita, I can notate that you're speaking.
So Rita Trometer, North Pole. Been here for 30+ years. And I did have spoke several times, as you know, she knew my name and I know some of you up here. But once again, good evening here, council members. And I'm glad that I was able to come back again and speak regarding the hazardous ordinance there that you have for vehicles that's been discussed the past several months. Once again, on behalf of myself and many citizens who live and travel through North Pole daily, I would like to thank each of you for allowing us in the community to give input into the decision that you're making on the safety ordinance this evening. I would like to thank you for hearing and listening all of our views on the ordinance that will impact our community. Finances are tight in all the households during the time, and it is much appreciated that you're not adding extra to the already strained wallets of your citizens. Thank you. It's going to be short and sweet tonight, and thank you for allowing me to do that. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Rita. Anyone else?
Talk for a few seconds here. My name is
Uh,
Barb.
There is a pen. There are 2 pens on the public testimony table, just for people's reference.
My name is Barbara Haney. I think you know who I am. Live on Freeman Road, North Pole. And I want to thank you guys again for willingly listening to the public. I know this has been kind of an exciting time with this ordinance. And I think you know why most of the crowd is here. And I want to keep it short, but I would appreciate it if you vote down this ordinance. I just don't want to see the city of North Pole develop a reputation that it had many years ago. It's not that I'm for unsafe vehicles. That's not true. I'm for safe vehicles. It's a perception, and that's the bottom line. On the flip side, I want to continue to say I prayerfully miss the Mr. Mayor, and I hope he recovers. I have been very worried about him. And that is heartfelt on my end because I regard him as a friend and I do worry about him. Lastly, I want to thank you guys for having an invocation or prayer dedication. It was beautiful. Thank you. And I do miss having that at Borough Assembly under this new regime. And if you ever get a chance to let the Borough Assembly know that you will be very happy to write some beautiful prayers for them to recite at their assembly meetings, I would be very grateful. Please feel free to forward them to Madam Presiding Officer Fletcher. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Barbara.
Guess I'll keep the habit and not sign in either. Hi, Tammy Wilson, live in North Pole. I guess I'm just a little disappointed that we didn't have the 6 o'clock because honestly, we really are just trying to figure out what we can to make sure things are safer. And if, things are happening in North Pole that aren't happening in other places, I would really encourage you to talk to the legislature and see if maybe the statutes or regulations need to be changed to, better show what it is, because I think that was really where we were coming from the entire time. The one big part, of course, was the concern that it says you shall be able to impound a car after day 8. And I think everybody wants to have their car safe. But I also found it kind of interesting that, I guess next time if something like this comes up, it'd be nice to have a workshop in which everybody can participate, more like a town hall. So that really you could vet, because I do believe that that was, the chief's idea of, as he said, of trying to vet it. But once we start going into other people's offices and asking those questions or having more side conversations, I think it just gets more confusing and nobody knows at some point what the truth is and where it's going. So obviously y'all thought there was a problem, and I think the chief also believes that. And if sometime we could really have that conversation, it would be great. And again, if it could just go to the state, because I'm sure you're not the only community having a problem. If there's one existing, the others do, but it is really concerning that we almost really made life harder for people who are really just trying to make things better, but unfortunately can't afford those new cars. So thank you, for taking this in consideration, and hope the conversation continues. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Yes.
Steve Dutra, 125 Snowman Lane. I just wanted to share some facts with people because it's important. I did encourage the council to vote this down, and I'm thankful that you hopefully going to take that under consideration, or you already have. So just run some data by everybody because we all love data. Last year we had 2,488 traffic stops at the PD, and 1,313 of those were warnings for mostly equipment violations. So you can imagine the enormous workload that's on our department every year that having to deal with. That's generally about consistent with what we do every year. The officers go out of their way to issue warnings all the time. And it's every time I read the daily bulletins, I'm very thankful that they do that. And I'm grateful that they're helping people get their cars fixed. And that's what it's all about, right? Just pulling them over, your taillights out, or this is broken, your headlights. That's community policing at its best. And I've always encouraged that. And when I read the daily bulletins, I'm not watching over their shoulders, making them do that. They're doing it on their own. So that says a lot. I did run traffic count data, and I would encourage everybody to do that. And if you've seen the traffic flow in and out of the city, and I'm going to share all these PowerPoints, at a later date with the council, because I think that a full-blown presentation on data and traffic and safety and things like that is really important. And I have to agree with Tammy 100% that this public information is important, and sharing what's going on with the public is super critical to make things like this a success. Whether this was a success or not, I don't know, but I think we got a lot of good information for the public, and I am thankful that everybody is here. May not think so, but I truly am, because I've been doing this a long time, and this one ordinance is not what I hang my hat on. It's just one way that we were trying to fix a problem. So I'm so thankful everybody came. the actual odds, I just want to throw this out there for comparisons that, 18,000 vehicles a day travel through Santa Claus Lane, average annual daily traffic. Has 365 days a year. That's 6,570,000 vehicles moving through Santa Claus Lane alone. Some of those people are coming and going, obviously, but I'm just throwing the data out there. That's 0.0379% chance you're actually going to be stopped. 0.022% chance you're actually going to get a ticket for something. More likely, you're going to get a warning, right? So I've already shown that. So the fact of that, half the stops, they're given warnings. This is important stuff. They're not out there trying to gather money for the city. That's not true. They're out there helping these citizens get the car fixed. Data shows that. And then I just pulled up, Fairbanks, Fairbanks Municipal Code Traffic, 78.5, huge section on all of those codes. We didn't even brush the surface of half of the ones that are available in Fairbanks or Juneau or Anchorage. So I'd say that, what was offered was a compromise, but there's always work to be done. And I think we'll go back to the drawing tables, right? And last thing I just want to say, because it's a huge overall unsafe and hazardous vehicle is a large portion of what we do. It's not the only thing we do. And again, I mentioned, I thank everybody for providing feedback on Facebook and such. That was extremely valuable. And I did underline that we do believe community engagement is necessary to make something successful, because this is not my ordinance. This is your ordinance. This is your city. And I'm just here to facilitate what you want me to do, right? I'm not here to make up things as I go along. So if I present something to council and they don't like it, you'll tell me. You'll say no. And I'm okay with that. After 27 years of we're doing this, I'm not offended. So thank you for your feedback. Thank you to everybody that's here. And that's all I really wanted to say.
Thank you.
And I made it.
It's still citizen comment time.
Evening, council. It's nice to see some of you. I've known you a little bit.
Would you please state your name for the
Oh,
record?
yeah, my name is Rich Ide. I live on Roma Street, North Pole, and lived here 38 years, well, since 83. It's 38. And I probably have less foreknowledge of this topic than most of the people behind me. But I heard a month ago that it was coming. They're going to tighten up on the regs, and people are going to be stopped a lot. And 2 weeks ago, over 2 nights, there was 3 people stopped, flashing lights, all that. And it just put a cloud over things. It's like they're actually doing it. And I'm trying not to be a negative person as I'm, experiencing this, but it just seems, money grubbing. And if you're going to talk about safety, the elephant in the room is 2- and 4-wheelers for 30 years have been totally illegally running around trails and parking lots and sidewalks for years and years. And if you're going to talk about public safety, maybe there's other areas that, there might not be any revenue in it, but there might be a lot more safety than that's being performed than what I see with the cars being stopped. And I just don't like to kind of live in this dark cloud feeling that, all of a sudden we got to go after people for, well, we'll find something wrong. It's the mood that it seems like it's being set. Questions? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Are there any other citizens that would like to comment?
Comment session closed. Moving on to communication of the department heads and the borough representative. Trish, can we start with you?
Good evening, council. We don't have a lot to report. It is February now, we have all the January sales tax in. We can start accruing revenues back to 2023 now, and we're preparing for the audit. We had a meeting with the auditors, LG Renfield, along with our advisors from Anchorage last week, and we talked about the timeline of the audit and when we're expecting things. We are planning on a weekly meeting starting March, and our goal is to turn everything over by the end of March. And I think that's very doable this year. So there's a couple of things that we're trying to hammer out as far as last year's audit versus what they gave us as a trial balance, what they call post-audit trial balance. We found some little differences, and I'm trying to hunt that down and get an answer to that. So that's really all I have. Next meeting, I'll have an update on the interest in the revenues, and I should have these figures for that next meeting. So we'll know what the revenues are coming in at by that time.
Any questions? Seeing none?
Okay.
Thank you, Trish.
Thank you.
Chief. Hi.
Good evening, council. Thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of Chief Heineken. He is attending the Alaska Fire Chiefs Association Leadership Summit this week in Juneau, and he'll be putting in good time learning and visiting with legislators on the Hill. So always a good time if you like that sort of thing. So what we're doing at the fire department, we've got 2 courses that are well underway that we started. Firefighter 1 with our partners at the Community and Technical College and North Star Volunteer Fire Department, and EMT 1, which we're hosting with Interior Region EMS. We have a total of 7 of our members attending those classes. So either one or they're 3 in one and 4 in the other, and they're all doing very well, and it's going swimmingly despite the little cold snap we had. Everything's working fine. We've opened the application period for the apprenticeship program. We've had numerous contacts with people showing interest. 1 application has been turned in to date. There is a tremendous amount of traffic we got on our Facebook post alone. That was staggering. So we're looking forward to a lot of applications and then helping launch this workforce development program full speed for graduating seniors. Give them a chance to get into the workforce. That's all I got. If anybody got any questions?
Seeing none? Thank you. Danny.
Yeah, thank you. Danny Wallace, Director of City Services. I'll cover a special topic and then we'll talk about the other departments. For Moose Creek, which is our water expansion project to the east, in 2 months, this project will officially end on March 31st. And although we'll still be able to invoice for expenses, so it's not going to quite be over at that time, that is the official end date for the project. Project focus areas include documentation, receiving and storing critical spare parts, and validating that the system continues to perform as required. That system, we still have, if recent work's been done, we have about a year warranty on each of that work. And there are a few minor things that still need to be done, but over the summer and over the next year, we can hold the contractors responsible to make sure that those warranty items are taken care of. For Public Works, we've weathered the low temperatures fairly well. No significant city systems, both in Public Works and utilities, were impacted. But we continue to have issues with the fire alarm system here at City Hall, and we're actively seeking solutions with Johnson Controls to solve this issue. You may see that we come before the council with a potential fix for it. The fire alarm system is working, but it's not working in a manner that we're satisfied with. The system is fairly old. It's over 30 years old. So we're going to relook that and see if it needs to be revamped or replaced. Also, we're working on linking the security cameras in and around City Hall to computers in the offices. Some of the folks that work here in City Hall express an interest to kind of see which customers are coming in. Sometimes we have customers in the parking lot that need help getting into the building, so we're going to link some of those exterior cameras to the systems, to the computers here inside the fishbowl right behind us in the main part of City Hall. And we're working on that. A couple of other things for Public Works. Our request to bid for a skid steer for Public Works is currently being advertised, and it will close on February 14th. We'll have a recommendation for the Mayor Pro Tem and the City Council for approval at the next meeting. So we think we'll have that together by the next meeting. And then finally, with the help of Maggie from HR, we've advertised to hire a Public Works assistant. We have a projected departure in the next couple of months, and so we're trying to get ahead of that. For the building department, we continue to see a few building permits for indoor work to include the old Pizza Hut building that's continuing on. And certainly we'll see a seasonal increase as applications as we move into spring and summer. For utilities, no significant issues to report, which is good, again, given the weather. We did convene a board to review and recommend proposals for the city's water main planning and design effort, but we're still working through the administrative details and should have a recommendation for the council during the next meeting. Again, we convened the board, but during the next meeting, we'll have a recommendation for the council to discuss and hopefully approve. And finally, we did sell our 2008 GMC Sierra here to a local auction house, and it netted over $10,000 surprisingly. And we're expected to get about $9,200 from that for that vehicle. And I'll be happy to answer any questions from the council.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Mr. Wallace, since you mentioned that our fire alarms here are over 30 years old, I know that at the city of Fairbanks, part of it had to do with the phone system was just a 7-digit system, and the new alarm system requires 10 digits. So that might be a component to look at, that your system is not recognizing numbers because they're no longer 10. They have to be 10 digits for the new standard. That includes the area code and prefix and number.
I know one of the things that they have asked us about is whether to go over VoIP with our systems, and we have to weigh whether staying with the traditional telephone systems versus going over VoIP. And again, there's some risks on either side. So, but we'll look at that. I'm not sure we've looked at the 7 versus 10.
I'm not sure it has to do with VoIP. I just think it has to do with the numbers that are used to dial them through the system. Todd Chambers probably could say that.
He's been our advisor on
it
this.
failed
Yeah.
on his watch in Fairbanks, so.
Any other questions? All right. Seeing none, thank you. Chief Dutra.
I'll keep it short. So as I mentioned earlier, the 2 cars we ordered last year are finally en route to Anchorage. We'll have a couple folks fly up there and grab them, bring them back. We have 2 supervisors in Soldotna currently attending the LEADA training, which is the FBI leadership course. It's good courses. They're doing the 2nd level, so that's sergeant, lieutenant, both doing. They did the 1st level. This is now the 2nd level supervisor, so it's kind of nice. We were working on a 2024 grant cycle stuff, so we're putting in for a bunch of things that we normally put in for. So I'm getting that paperwork grinded out. And then we did have a department meeting, and the biggest concern, it seemed like, was the radio systems that we have here in the city. That the ALMR, and if you're not familiar with, that's the Alaska Land Mobile Radio System that we use, has repeaters all over the area, and these repeaters in North Pole have been historically weak and have always, had some issues. So the folks seem to be noticing more of that these days than normal when they get radios. So that we're going to work on that and try to see if we can get an analysis done of the radio signals that are in the area. I do apologize about my voice. And last thing, we're about ready to hire the last position, which that's the 51st officer. Because you asked me earlier how many we had. So that would be 51. I did lie and said 13, but anyway, so that says a lot about the department holding steady at our numbers, keeping people here And it says a lot about the community. It says a lot about the council. And I mean that wholeheartedly. You stepped up last year and made a difference. So we're not seeing folks leave, and that's and struggling to get people to work here, which you're seeing still across the country, significant losses in departments. There was just a recent study that came out from the National Law Enforcement Chiefs Association, and they're seeing, huge numbers of losses across the country and agencies that just can't fill spots. Doesn't matter how much money you throw at them. It has a lot to do with what you do and how you treat your folks and your employees. And I think you guys have knocked it out of the park. So thank you for that. And that's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Madam Clerk?
Thank you. Let's see. I wanted to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I apologize for the messaging. I just wanted to bring attention to the video here. The messaging for the work session and the council agenda is posted on the website the Thursday before the Monday meeting. And we always have the meetings are the first and third Monday of the month. I just wanted to show a little quick navigation. If you go to under How Do I? Oh, here we go. Under the How Do I, you can go to events and meetings, and we have the events for the month. And then underneath that, we've got the agenda and the agenda packet posted, and those always go up the Thursday before the Monday meeting, the first and third of the month. I just thank you all for coming out. I apologize that the messaging for the work session wasn't received. For future reference. Also, Maggie has been sending out employee and council required code training. She has now received 73% compliance from employees and council members. And we have three job opportunities, which are right here on our website. If anybody would like to apply for those are available to the public. I can't think of anything else, Ms. Clack.
All right, thank you. Yes, Jeff.
Madam Clerk, so the lower corner, right-hand corner of the screen, you say where it says work session canceled. Is that a message box that we can use in future for any other alerts or announcements that we want residents to be able to see when they go to our website?
We did have when the Fairbanks, when we were messaging for the Planning Commission, we used that platform for that. Yes.
I like that. Yeah.
Was there any borough representative?
No.
No.
Oh, Barbara can give us an update. Thank you, Barbara.
That wasn't why I came, but I certainly can. So if you look at the borough agenda, you will see that there's been a series of special meetings and special finance meetings. And apparently, the borough has decided sometime, I'm not sure when it happened, sometime in December or January, they formed some kind of ad hoc committee of school board and borough. And so there was a couple things that have come out of that. There's a resolution and also a proposal for a special election in April. The resolution will be voted on tomorrow night at the school board, along with a memo that is apparently a bit controversial among some circles on gender identity in the classroom. That's a separate issue from the special election. The special election, the Borough Assembly will meet on that next on February 15th. And it is what we'll be voting on is whether or not we should have a special election on April 30th to raise the tax cap. As you know, the tax cap has a longstanding tradition in this borough. It has passed by 67% or more every time it has been up for a vote. Even recently this year, when we did the petition for the tax revenue cap, we easily got, I think it was like 2,000 to 3,000 signatures required for that. It's going to be on the ballot again in October. Yet they feel it is such an emergency for some reason that they have to raise the revenue cap because of the school district deficit. My concern is that part of the deficit that the school district has is because people are not putting their kids in school. People are not putting their kids in school because they're watching all this other malarkey on all this other business and not on the basics of reading, writing, and mathematics. So therein lies the rub. That's where we're at on the borough level. Those are the two issues. However you feel about them, I think you can tell from my tone where I'm at. But if you feel alternatively, you also have the information now on when those meetings will be. And I would not want anything here to be interpreted that I don't somehow or another that I advocate anything nasty to people who have alternative gender identities. I just don't think it's something that teachers should be teaching in the classroom. I think when mommy and daddy send their children off to school, I think there's an expectation they're going to learn reading and writing and those kinds of things, because those other kind of things are for the church or for the family to consider, in my opinion. And by the way, the Supreme Court in Truxell versus Granville wrote that that is the right of the parent. So I don't even understand why we're going down this road as both the borough and the school district, but that's where we're at. I wanted you to be aware of it, anybody listening to be aware of it, because this tax increase they're talking about will it be an increase of 1.1 mil. So on average, say you've got a $300,000 house. That means this July, when that tax bill's due, you're going to be owing an extra $400. That's a lot of money. There's a lot of people right now, they're struggling just to keep heat in their homes. We've had some really huge increases in prices. I get it, but people are struggling too. And so that's kind of where it's at with the borough. On the flip side, I did vote to have the replastering done at the pools. I think that's important. And the one issue I have raised is for those of you who are regular users of Westcott Pool, to put the appliques back in the baby pool, because that used to be the thing with little kids in the baby pool. Go see the appliques. And to me, it's like a minor cost measure that would greatly enhance the experience of users in the baby pool. And the baby pool's our future. You know, those are their future swimmers. Those are our future assembly people.
Thank you, Ms. Haney. Is there any
Anything
questions of
else?
the council?
One more time with that time for the meeting tomorrow.
Tomorrow, the school board meeting?
6,
6. Everybody knows about it.
yeah, 6 o'clock.
And that's going to be quite the meeting, I think. So
6 o'clock it starts, and then the real, just like with us, will be the other
you have the prayer and pledge, and then
agenda, yeah.
Yeah.
And then at 7, the meeting officially starts. So at that point, you have the representatives and stuff that will talk from each school or borough, North Pole or Fairbanks. And then we'll go into the rest of your borough meeting.
Well, it'll go into the school board meeting. The
Yep.
borough meeting will be obviously this Thursday is where you have the finance committee meets the special election. Then February 15th, we'll be voting on that special election.
Okay.
And I am hoping that I do not have to grace the city with signs on an April 30th election. But if I must, I must. You know me on that.
Okay.
But anyway.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you very
We highly
much.
appreciate you filling us in on that.
That brings us to ongoing projects. Was there anything? There was nothing on the agenda for ongoing projects.
No.
Okay, unfinished business. That brings us to ordinance 2023-17, an ordinance of the city of North Pole to amend Title 10, unsafe and hazardous vehicles, and Title 1, minor fee schedule. This ordinance was postponed from the regular council meeting of November 20th, 2023.
May I have a motion?
Move to adopt. I'd encourage a second so that we can vote it down.
Yeah, who's doing a second?
Second.
Okay. Benny's doing the second. Jeff did the first.
That's Robert Earls. You have to.
Okay,
Discussion.
discussion?
As I said earlier, I encourage my fellow council members to vote no on this adoption of the ordinance 2023-17. There's a lot of, I think, questions and concerns that we've heard, both from the members of the public and also from our chief of police, that we need to work out as a community, which direction we want to go in on these items. So.
Say one.
No.
Interesting things.
No, we have. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. We were taught that if you want to know something, you got to go talk to the person who has the information. Because when you don't do that, you don't know. Okay. So Jeff was first.
Call the
Second
question.
was Benny. Any discussions? Seeing none?
On the motion to adopt ordinance 2023, Ms. Clack,
Yes. I mean, no, excuse me. Not the lunch. See?
Mr. Church, was it Ms. Clack? That was a no.
That's a no.
Mr. Church, Mr. Skips,
No.
Mr. Jacobson,
No.
and Mr. Williams. Ordinance 2023-17 is failed.
Okay. Next order of business, ordinance 2024-01. Ordinance of accepted board and adjustment duties from Fairbanks North Star Borough in the hearing of decide appeals and certain lands use decisions of the land located within the city of North Pole. Do I hear a motion?
Oh, public testimony.
Oh, public testimony, excuse me. Public testimony? Seeing none?
Move to adopt ordinance 2024-01, an ordinance to accept Board of Adjustment duties from the Fairbanks North Star Borough to hear and decide appeals of certain land use decisions for land located within the city of North Pole. It will after we have a second.
Oh,
Second. Skips.
Discussion.
I looked at this. I saw.
Benny, would you mind leaning forward into, thank you.
Test. I looked at this and I read it. And in my mind, what I saw is Fairbanks North Star Borough is gonna have a hearing and decide appeals for us here in North Pole. Land usage. I got a problem with that. I mean, why should somebody else decide for us what we're gonna do here in North Pole? You see what I'm saying?
Like, explain?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Let Jeff explain it.
We voted to allow the borough to have area-wide planning and zoning powers. And so all of those activities go before the Borough Planning Commission. So they have that power and authority and the staff to do that. If it is a North Pole land issue within the city of North Pole, and the applicant does not like the outcome of the planning commission saying no or putting restrictions on their motion or their request, that's when it comes to us as the appeal board. But they are the ones that have the original power for planning and zoning, as the communities gave the borough that power many years ago.
So shouldn't we put something in there saying that we will be the appeal board? In on this?
This is what it says we are. We will become the appeal board after an unfavorable outcome for the applicant at the planning commission. It says this, we are. That's what this does.
Yes. Larry?
How was it done, Jeff? Because I wasn't around. How was it done prior to this, when they had appeals? They would go in front of the same board for the appeal, or would they go in front of the Fairbanks North Star Borough?
North Star
Assembly?
Borough becomes the appeal board for the planning commission decisions.
Okay. But we would essentially take that right back as North Pole and allow it to happen here in front of us.
Correct.
Any other questions?
As
Benny,
lo-
you look like you have one.
Yeah, my question is, the way I read it is these guys are making the decisions and the appeals, and we have nothing to do with it.
No,
Okay,
that's not it.
okay.
They do now, but we're saying we're taking that back.
We're getting our
So you're
power
here-
back.
Take a look at that. That's the actual ordinance and how it's written versus the agenda that you're looking at. That might clarify a few things for you.
Look at the whereases, and then it'll.
As is,
It's
which
also
one?
on the,
As of,
on the board here as well.
I can't read that.
Blow that up for him. Or which one's easier for you? That one there in your hand or?
This one in my hand.
Okay.
All right, which one as is? I know it's in my book somewhere and I just didn't see this one.
It's here.
I just don't want them to have the overall decision. We make the decision what goes on in North Pole,
Right,
us here.
right, we do.
Okay,
At the end.
Yep.
at the end, we
Yes.
do. Okay.
Yep,
All right.
yes.
Can we make sure these people talk in plain language so people can understand it like me?
Well, that's kind of why we do it as a forum, as a council. We discuss it, and then whatever questions you may have, we try to help clear it up. So you have a better understanding, and then that way you'll be able to vote.
Okay, because stuff like this does confuse me, and I'm not the only one that probably get confused.
I know, but see, what this was is just the ordinance factor
Yes, ma'am.
to bring it before you.
Okay,
Then the document you have in your hand,
yes, ma'am.
as per you read,
I'm gonna go home and read this real carefully.
right? And then when we come back in our sitting 30 minutes before we go before council,
Yes, ma'am.
then we try to break down the questions you may have
Okay,
for a better understanding prior to our have a 7 o'clock meeting and voting time.
okay, well, if I don't understand something, you know you're gonna have to draw me a picture.
Oh, yeah, then we'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make stick art.
And so basically what this resolution ordinance says is that up until 2016, we were the appeal board for land decisions from the planning commission outcomes. But in 2016, the Borough Assembly changed that and said the city of Fairbanks and city of North Pole no longer will be the appeal board, and they flex their muscle, much to the chagrin of both Fairbanks and North Pole. And now with a different mayor and a different assembly, they returned the power back to both the city of Fairbanks and North Pole. But we had to take that power back through this ordinance.
And Benny, I don't know if you remember, you were at the borough when that vote took place. We were sitting there. That was one of the first 2 nights that you went when I was there.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Are there any other questions before I call the question?
Seeing none?
On ordinance 2024-01, an ordinance to accept Board of Adjustment duties from the Fairbanks North Star Borough to hear and decide appeals of certain land use decisions for land located within the city of North Pole. Mr. Skips?
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Church,
Yes.
Ms. Clack,
Yes.
and Mr. Jacobson. Okay, that brings us to new business on the agenda.
Memo. Appointment of FNSB Planning Commission, Greg Corbett. Motion, please.
Motion to accept Greg Corbett as the planning commission representative for North Pole area.
Is there a second?
Second Skips.
Is there any member of the public that would like to speak to this?
Seeing none?
I'm thankful that after 6 years of no one being on the planning commission from the North Pole area or city of North Pole, that we finally have an interested person who I think has the wherewithal and the understanding to represent our community well.
I agree.
Of North Pole, best interest
Yes.
at heart.
At heart. Yep. So where's our second?
I'll second.
Second, okay,
Oh, I had Mr. Church and Mr. Skip seconded.
okay.
On the memo to appoint Mr. Corbett to the Fairbanks North Star Planning Commission for the North Pole representative. Ms. Clack,
Yes.
Mr. Church,
Yes.
Mr. Skips, Mr. Jacobson, and Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to request for council for purchase of two vehicles, 2024 Dodge Durango police vehicles. Is Chief Dutra still here?
I don't think he needs to come forward. We've already heard
Yeah.
him. That's fine. It's fine.
Motion?
Move
Public?
to approve the purchase of two 2024 Dodge Durango police vehicles in the amount of $94,142.50.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion or any member of the public that would like to speak to this?
Seeing none?
Okay, on the motion to purchase the two police vehicles, Ms. Clack,
Yes.
Mr. Church,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
and Mr. Jacobson. Thank you. And that brings us to,
Request of council for the water meters. $142,500.
Yeah, the memo on this pretty much describes the issue. We've talked about this before, but this is the request to use ARPA funds to purchase approximately 600 water meters for replacement within the city of North Pole. Again, these are different types of meters. These are they're all able to monitor the water usage by the customer and also by the city, but it'll also be a mix of slow flow meters, and the majority of them, about 500 of those, are the normal meters. But again, everyone will have access to ion water. It'll allow the city to do a better job, and it'll also replace aging systems that, again, are either failing or going to fail within the next year or two, we predict. So that's the request to council, and I'll answer any questions needed.
Any questions? Seeing none? Motion?
Public testimony first.
Oh, public testimony, I'm sorry. Public testimony? Seeing none? Move for a motion?
Recommend purchasing the water meters with ARPA funds for a total of $242,598.31.
Second.
Open for discussion? Seeing none?
on the motion to approve the ARPA water meters, Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Ms. Clack,
Yes.
Mr. Church,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, and Mr. Jacobson.
Okay, moving to request of council lead line survey. Respect of 48,000.
Okay, as we've talked about before, this is to fund a lead line survey as mandated both by EPA and the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation. What it will do is it'll allow us to look at the status of lines in our system, allow us to determine whether or not any of these are lead, and then report that appropriately. It'll include a reviews of our building efforts that have gone on previously with the original installation of the water systems throughout the city. It'll also allow us to update our current knowledge of the water system. Will be we'll have the least amount of intrusion as possible, because we will use customer surveys to assist with this. When we'll do some on-site inspections. Mr. Jacobson, I answered a question. My water utilities chief actually corrected me when we talked about the water testing in your house. That is not for the water system, but that is more focused on inside your house to see if there's any lead solder there. We are responsible for for inventorying those. So again, that is linked to the survey. So if they find lead in your water, that will key the survey folks to take an in-depth look at that. So that, again, our expert was here and he corrected me. So again, there's an opportunity to get possibly some of this money back from the state, and we're pursuing that. But the bottom line, at the very most, the city would spend $48,000 on this survey. This was budget. We knew this was coming. We put it in the budget, and it's under professional services for water utility. But I'll answer any questions about this now.
Any questions? Seeing none. Public questions? Seeing none. Let's move forward to motion to move.
Move to approve the lead line survey in the amount of $48,000 to respect.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none.
On the motion to approve, Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Church,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Ms. Clack,
Yes.
and Mr. Jacobson. That brings us to the request to council, Rebuilding America Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity Raise Grant Application, Two Bears Environmental Consulting, $6,300.
And again, this project addresses seasonal flooding. We are applying for a grant through the federal government, through the RAISE program. These grants, we can use them both for planning and for actual construction on the infrastructure. We are hoping to use it on the construction for the infrastructure to change our culvert plan to move some of the water out of Ford subdivision as it pools there every year. We will be able to do some of the work based on in-house, and we would do as much as we can, but we are going to need some extra help to do that. This is a good opportunity for our community to gain money to correct some infrastructure flaws that are out there. This also allows us to apply for a grant to purchase a new dump truck. We have a dump truck that was built in 1991. It is an international harvester. It is working, and it is the truck that spreads the gravel around the parking lots and throughout the city. It spreads it on the roundabouts and assists DOT at times when those roundabouts get slick. It is all about safety. That dump truck also supports our stormwater plan in the fact that, and I say stormwater, runoff during the year, if we do need to do stuff with the dump truck, whether it's moving dirt or whether it's doing other things to support our infrastructure changes, we use that truck. So the request here is to spend $6,300. This is in addition to the monthly amount that we spend. We spend $1,500 a month for Two Bears Consulting, but this would be an additional cost. And this is sort of a good test of the new construct of our relationship with TBEC and to apply for this grant for the needed changes. So I'll answer any questions from the council now.
Any questions? Seeing none. Any questions of the audience? Seeing none. Motion to move. Make a motion to move.
I'll try this. I motion to rebuild the American infrastructure and stability to raise the grant application to Two Bears Environmental Consulting, $6,300.
Who's going to second?
Second, Skips.
Okay, on that motion, Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Ms. Clack,
Yes.
Mr. Church, Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson.
Yes.
Okay, four approved, four means it's approved, the motion is approved.
And Chief Dutra, uh, you must be present to win the 2 Dodge Durangos, so we voted no. Oh, we approved them.
Yeah,
We knew
we
you were
approved.
busy out there.
Yeah.
But I'm good.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Yay. Let's move to council's comments.
Want to go ahead and start, Mr. Skips?
Yes, I'll start. Thank God for this nicer weather. So it's kind of easing up for my pocketbook.
Yeah.
And everybody, especially with the warmer temperatures now on the ice, now things start to get really slick. So be careful out there driving. That's all I have.
Mr. Jacobson?
Thank you. I asked the clerk earlier today to forward to all the council members and staff members the legislative update from the City of Fairbanks lobbyist Yuri. It talks about the upcoming hearings this week on different issues, and also a link to the Gavel's Gavel archives to listen to past hearings. So if you want to stay tuned on what's happening in Juneau this session, this is an email with hyperlinks that you can learn more information. I also passed out for council members that we have a gem in our community, which is the North Pole Grange Art Gallery. And every month they have showings. And for the month of February, the theme is Frigid and Frozen for the first few weeks. But the gallery's February show theme is Faces and Figures. The show will be open for 3 Fridays. Last Friday the 2nd, this coming Friday the 9th, and the 16th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. As usual, the show is unique, and we have new work by several new artists who have never shown their work prior to this show. February is also their birthday month. The gallery was incorporated on February 11th, 2021. The 9th marks the last show of our 3rd year, and the 16th marks the beginning of our 4th year. We will celebrate each of these occasions as they occur with a wine tasting on our traditional 3rd Friday show. Please join us this month in the cozy comfort of the Grange Gallery. So if you have not gone to the Grange, I would encourage you to do so. It is the log cabin that you can see on your way to the transfer station on the left side of the highway by the middle school. You have access to it right after you cross the railroad tracks on 8th Avenue. You must take immediate right and go down the snow road in the winter and the gravel road in the summer to get all the way down to the Grange. Also, I was able to meet with Mayor Pro Tem Clark and also Danny with the consultants who are updating the 2016 comprehensive strategic plan. And so we had the first kickoff meeting and there'll be further upcoming meetings and participation with council members and also community members for input on any changes to that. I also passed out tonight from 2010, the North Pole Land Use Plan that isn't necessarily part of the strategic plan, but it just kind of shows you what this is part of the borough comprehensive plan. It's a section of their larger land use plan, and this is our North Pole section. And it's kind of interesting to see the growth of the community over the years and perhaps some need for rezoning, you might say, where our central business district is located is on the Old Richardson Highway. And most of the business now is along the Santa Claus Lane corridor. So that's just something for future consideration. And I'd be remiss, this month is Black History Month. And I would encourage us at our next council meeting that we have a resolution proclaiming the Black History Month in North Pole. It's still the month. And I had a resident contact me on Sunday asking that we do this. And I would just encourage us that we draft one for our next meeting and have it on the agenda. And that concludes my comments. Thanks.
Councilmember Williams?
Mine is dealing with the weather out there. We really, really have to be careful. The other day I went to an appointment and my power steering went out. Not a good situation. So I limped the car over to the dealer and come to find out, supposedly it's going to cost X number of thousands of dollars. But knowing me, I researched and, that probably is not the problem. And I went back to get some parts out of my vehicle and the power steering was working. So what does that say? Ooh, somebody's got a problem. But anyway, just be careful when a dealer tells you that it's cost this much. Research. And another issue for me is sometimes I'm seeing this stuff to be read to us, and to me, it's not in plain English. It's either one way or another. Am I making sense of what I'm trying to say with that?
Oh,
If
yeah.
anybody understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you don't come out and say it's either this or that, forget the hem-haws in the middle for trying to confuse individuals. It's very it's tasking for me to try and get the right answer, to bring something out. So, but I'm gonna work at it. And if I don't understand it, you can bet you're gonna have to draw me a picture.
We'll do
Simple
that.
as that.
Yeah, we'll do that.
This Thursday, I'll be going down to Fairbanks. And I know what two issues I'm gonna, if anybody asks me anything, then I'm gonna talk about, if at all.
Well, with that being said, you would go ahead and let them know that the ordinance 2023-17 was
Yes, ma'am.
voted down,
Yes, ma'am.
and ordinance 2024-01, okay,
Yes, ma'am.
was a yes. And really stress that after 6 years, the position for the Fairbanks North Star Borough Planning Commission has been filled with Greg Corbett on our side.
Okay.
Our city clerk will be turning something in to the borough,
Yes, ma'am.
and at that point, we'll know where we're standing.
Anything else?
I do believe that the Borough Assembly will have to act on that appointment.
All right.
We make the recommendation.
Yeah, so you'll just say it was a recommendation.
I have to forward, his, the memo and then his, resume and information.
Yeah.
But didn't want to put all that information on public,
Right,
everybody, not yet.
right. And so did you get that?
Yes, those
Okay.
three things I'll talk about,
Right.
nothing else.
That's all.
Got it.
Gotcha. And then if you want, you can expound on the fact that we had somebody share some things that will be coming up that Barbara talked about.
Oh. Okay, I can do that.
Yeah. And that we've now been enlightened. That's the word I like to use.
All right, and then I can come back on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
At midnight.
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
Okay, Larry, it's your turn.
Yeah.
I'd like to start off by saying thank you again to Paul Trissel. Not only for his service to our country, but also for his service to the North Pole area. He does a lot more behind the scenes than anybody realized. I never realized until I moved into the city how much he truly does and how much he takes on himself. That is, it's pretty astonishing, the workload that he takes on and the things that he researches for our city in his off time. Just talking with him, it's wonderful. And he is quite the treasure to have. I would also like to thank everybody that showed up here today for the safe vehicle ordinance. It's great to have the chamber filled and full of people. I love it more than anything else. As a public servant, it is great to have people here to speak up and to say yay, nay, we love it, we hate it. It's wonderful. And I encourage those people to come back every single time we have a council meeting and speak their mind on everything. It's wonderful to have different opinions and to hear those opinions. It's wonderful. So thank you for that. With that, have a wonderful evening.
And Mayor Pro Tem Clack.
Well, giving glory and honor to the Lord for all of us to be here today. Sending prayers out to our mayor and asking the Lord to touch and heal his body. With that, all of us being safe as we're driving on the roads now, because it's going to be slip since we're going into warm weather. Help your children for the things that they may be going through, because each child is going through something different. And as a parent, you need to pry at them a little bit and see what's going on. And I want to thank the staff here of North Pole because they've been great. You've been doing an excellent job. I then want to thank council for all their input. And that's all I have for this evening.
Next.
Motion to,
I have one more thing real quick.
okay,
Tomorrow, North Pole versus West Valley basketball at North Pole High School.
okay.
Move to adjourn.
Time,
Did I get a second?
Starting at
Oh.
4:30, I believe.
I gotcha.
4:30?
Between the JV and the varsity games.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then somebody said second. Second to adjourn.
Okay, meeting adjourned at 8:15.
Meeting adjourned.
Close out here.
All right. I found it in my book. I'm gonna read that real good. That one you showed me.
Oh, yeah.